Hey, what's up, Richmond? Welcome to The Real RVA. My name is Clayton Gitz. I'm joined by my friend, Chris Shaw, who is the Business Development Manager of Homeland Title. And today, we're going to talk about title insurance. What is it? Why do you need it? That's coming up next. Hey, what's up, Richmond? So, one of our objectives at The Real RVA is to answer all of the questions that you could possibly have before you are buying or selling a home. And, one of the questions that we were talking about behind the scenes is you probably don't think about title insurance very often. And what is title insurance? Why do I need it? Why is it important? Do I have to have it? And so I've got the master here with me today, Chris Shaw. Thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate your time, brother. And we're going to unpack this thing today because I think the average consumer, they're only dealing with it, maybe 2 or 3 times max throughout their lifetime. So first of all, can you just tell us kind of about your business? How long have you guys been in business? Yeah. And then we're gonna unpack this whole title insurance thing.
Yeah, happy to do it. Thank you for having me. So we're Homeland Title. We've been around for 20 years in the Richmond area this year. So we're very proud of that. We basically started from scratch. My mother actually started it way back in the day. So we now have gone forward. We're now open into 7 offices, soon to be 8. So we're everywhere.
All in Virginia.
All in Virginia. So covering from soon to be out Southwest Virginia all the way through the Northern Neck. So covered both sides, west and east. And then obviously Richmond, just straight smack dab in the middle. We have 5 other offices.
Wow.
So it's big. We've been around the area, worked with a ton of agents, a ton of lenders, partners throughout Richmond, and maybe one day go bigger. Mm-hmm. It just all depends on timing and where we go. My background, I was in mortgages for 8 years prior to coming to Homeland, I guess 8 years ago now, this year in December. So I have that mortgage background of being able to help clients through the closing process, mm-hmm. But as well as coming to the title side, still doing closings at the table, mm-hmm. Able to help people through that final hurdle they get through to make sure that experience from start to end has been great.
Yeah, and I can attest to that because we work with you and your company, and it's been a great relationship for us. But so if I am thinking about buying or selling a home, for that matter, right? Yeah. So if I'm thinking about buying a home, let's start there. When and why is title insurance important?
Yeah, so title insurance is a huge portion of any closing because it's the one thing that protects the client and their biggest investment. Mm-hmm. From that point, if you don't get it, there's nothing really protecting you from forgery, fraud, anything like that down the line. So I think step one is getting it in front of the clients, and that's what we do day one from getting the contract. Mm-hmm. We normally send out a welcome letter that basically says, hey, here's the breakdown of what the process is going to look like from our side. And then we also attach a link in there that explains what title insurance is, why you need standard or enhanced, and what protects you from all of that.
Okay, so we're going to talk about standard versus enhanced here in just a minute, but if you could just give the listeners an idea of what does it potentially protect you from? Okay,
yeah. So I think being protected up front with title insurance, it covers you from any fraud, forgeries. So going forward, looking at title, there's always something that may pop up from a claim in the past, mm-hmm. an old lien, an old judgment. Mm-hmm. A lot of Richmond's a big market where you flip homes nowadays with investors coming in and investors not paying contractors right now. So mechanics liens are being filed. And with mechanics liens, they can file it up to 123 days after the person closes. Okay. So a lot of these liens are popping up. A lot of banks are being bought out. Mm-hmm. So a lot of stuff is popping up from old unreleased deed of trusts.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And so if you don't, do you have to have title insurance?
It's optional.
It's not a condition of the loan?
It's not a condition of the loan because the mortgage company requires you to get lender's insurance. Mm-hmm. Lender's insurance covers the lender. It does not cover the buyer.
Okay. So the lender's covered, but you want to make sure that you're covered, which is why, what percentage of home buyers are, it's got to be for us, I'm sure it's close to 100%, if not 100%.
Yes, for Jim, it's probably close to 100%.
Yeah.
The very rare times you get it is the people that are trying to penny pinch to make their way through, and they're like, "Oh, this says optional," and they weren't really covered. It wasn't really a covered basis with them. So,
all right, and we're going to get into pricing in just a minute. So,
yeah.
What is enhanced? Like, what's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so big difference between standard and enhanced. Obviously, we'd always recommend enhanced. But if you come to us and you're like, hey, I just want to be covered from previous stuff in the past, standard covers you from anything from the day we search title reports back.
Okay.
So standard covers you from an old tax liens, old mortgages that do pop up from the previous. If you get enhanced, it covers you going forward.
Okay.
So everything from behind you, before you moved in, to the future.
Okay.
With the future and enhanced, I think it's the biggest attestation to it, and kind of jumping into it, because enhanced covers you from right now, which is the biggest issue in our world, is fraud. You know, you hear a lot about wire fraud, and people coming in and taking checks and signing it over to people. People are signing deeds, from forgery deeds from way back in the day, and signing it in their name, saying like, oh, I own part of this property, but I was never cleared, you know, prior to you selling this property.
So enhanced would cover the new owner.
Correct.
Moving forward. Okay.
It would cover everything like that. And I think the biggest thing people don't understand is if you have to go to court and fight all of these battles for claims, standard doesn't cover your court fees, but enhanced will cover court fees and any legal fees.
Okay.
So you're always covered if something comes up later down the line. Those legal fees will always be covered by the enhanced.
Okay.
But with standard,
they're not.
You're basically paying out of pocket.
Okay. So what is how does the cost break down? And we'll make sure we get, you know, all the prices, and we'll Chris has graciously agreed to do that. We'll make sure we post that, and so it's very visible, and you know exactly, you know, what they are. But what's the difference between standard and the enhanced plan in terms of pricing or cost to the consumer?
Yeah, so pricing goes anywhere. It varies from $2.50 to $3.50 per $1,000. Okay. So per the home price, so if you're buying at $250,000 per $1,000 of that, it's $2.50 or $3.50.
Okay.
So anywhere in between there, it's all held by the title insurer.
So the math on that would be what? If it's a $250,000 purchase, what are we looking at?
It's a great question.
Should we do the math?
We can math that one up real quick.
Yeah, let's do the math, because I mean, you know, if I'm watching this, all right, so 250,000 multiplied times
$2.50 per 1,000.
So that's not right.
Percent on it.
Okay, hold on. 250. $6,200?
No, that's off.
Okay. Hey,
we'll cut that one, but
we'll cut that part.
Cut the math part, but it's $2 per 1,000. So
let me jump. I'm gonna jump back in. So just cut that part, Becca. So we'll make sure that we have the entire pricing breakdown so that it's very clear. And Chris has graciously agreed to provide that. So, all right. So very good idea to have it.
Very good.
Right. All right. What have you seen? What have you seen kind of pop up, Chris, in terms of issues? You know, you've been doing this for a while now. So what have you seen like pop? What's the most common thing that pops up that people need to be aware of that is covered under title insurance?
Yeah. So obviously right now, I think the old judgments or liens that are being filed is probably the biggest portion popping up. A lot of our refinances, or when you're going down after you purchase the property, it's unreleased deed of trust. So when rates were in the twos, everybody was refinancing, but everybody was trying to rush through the process. Okay. With that, people were missing steps here and there, so things weren't being released properly. Okay. So nowadays we're looking at 2 deed of trust on a property when we're searching a property, when it only should be 1. And we're having to go back behind whoever closed it before to see if they had title insurance. If they had the title insurance, we're able to remove it because they did satisfy it. If they didn't, we're going to have to jump through hoops to help them get there. Okay. Like I said, in Richmond, I think these contractors are filing mechanics liens left and right.
Yep. Which attach to the property. Yep. Okay.
So they attach to that property no matter what.
All right. So last question from me. So what? Oh, hold on. Sorry, Becca. I just lost it. Hold on. What was my question? It was a good one too. Any other questions that we should ask?
Other than so my whole, I think with y'all, you do a lot of new construction too. Mm-hmm. People are always asking why should they get title insurance if it's a brand new home and it's a search already done.
Oh, good one. Okay,
it's always
okay. All right, let's go there.
Yeah.
All right. So last question that I have. So I'm buying a new house. Right, my in-laws are actually just surprised us last night and are starting to look for a new construction property. So, why would I need title insurance if the house has no history?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a great question. When it comes to new construction, obviously the builder, when they build a lot, they try to clear title up front. Mm-hmm. That being said, when you're buying new construction, obviously title should be clear all the way through. You get to the closing table. My always recommendation is be covered, because at that point in time, somebody could have owned that land prior to the builder never got cleared. Okay. Trying to track down 15 different heirs, trying to get all of them to clear off, and we forgot a sibling somewhere. It's a huge issue. I think having at least standard to make sure you're covered from everything behind you is the best way to go forward, just because who knows what could pop up on title with new construction.
And then you have mechanics liens as well, possibly with new construction if they didn't pay a vendor or
correct.
Right?
So
okay. And I lied. So one more question: how comprehensive are these? So like, how are you actually searching to make sure that you grab everything? And what if you miss something? I'm assuming that insurance covers a mistake on your company's part as well. Yeah. Yeah.
And on our side, obviously, E&O protection always covers everybody, but from the title insurance side, our title insurance is the one that is protecting everybody. So they will protect us as well. Dang, I forgot your question. That was on me.
So no, that's okay. How are they? So the question is, how are they? How are you guys searching? Like, how comprehensive is the search? How are you guys searching?
Yeah. So for searches, we actually have an in-house searcher at each courthouse, designated just for Homeland. They go into each courthouse.
Did not know that.
Verify everything. Okay. And we have title searchers that come back straight to us. And the big difference with us, we have an in-house underwriter. So that in-house underwriter scrubs every single title report that comes across, and then she types out everything that's needed for our paralegal settlement agents. Okay. And then they go to clear those searches. You don't cross Heather. She's our underwriter. So she's the one that lays the hammer down for all of our settlement agents, and they have to clear whatever she needs. Okay. So it's a pretty strenuous process for us to get everything cleared. Yeah. But when we do, we know going forward, everything's done properly.
Okay. But if, heaven forbid, something's missed and everybody's still covered.
Yep. Everybody will be covered from there.
All right. Well, I hope this was helpful. I know, again, you're typically only dealing with this a handful of times throughout your lifetime. So we thought it would be, educational for you as the buyer to, hey, why do I need this? Actually, let's just end up with sellers. Like, what do sellers need title insurance? Or is this just strictly on the buy side?
Just strictly on the buy side. So title insurance only is covering the new owners. Okay. If you, by chance, as a seller, have your title insurance policy, you can help the buyer out by giving it to them to see if they can get a reissue rate.
That's great. Okay.
To help save them some dollars at closing table.
So it's probably a good idea for the buyer or the buyer's agent to ask the seller's agent whether or not they have an existing, maybe an enhanced plan, and
correct.
Whether or not a reissue rate would be applicable.
Yeah. So if an agent always asks the other side, hey, do you have your owner's policy? Okay. And if they do, that's a huge bonus for us to get title up front.
That's great. So that's great. I hope you caught that. So I hope this was helpful. Chris, thank you so much for your time today.
Of course.
And stay tuned for a lot more information about buying a home here in Central Virginia.